Hey, Nurse Kristen here. So tonight I wanted to share with you my recipe for tofu scramble with roasted potatoes. So first what I do, I get some organic tofu. I like to get the super firm stuff because then it doesn't fall apart. And so what I do first when I make my tofu scramble is I get the tofu. You need to wrap your tofu up to get all of the juice out of it. So I've got my tofu in here, and then I'm just gonna put it underneath one of these canisters, and I'm gonna leave it under there while my potatoes are cooking, so that way all of the liquid gets pulled out of the tofu. I wrap it up in a cheesecloth or a white dish towel. Little tip though for doing that, make sure you use either a dedicated towel for getting the liquid out of your tofu, or make sure it's just something that's really clean, because you know it's going to be wrapped in there and you don't want your tofu to soak up whatever else might have been cleaned up with that towel that hasn't been washed out yet. So that is what I do first. I get that soaking, and then I have some Yukon Gold potatoes here. I've got 5 of them for my husband and I'm just going to chop those up into bite-sized pieces, and I'm going to put some spices on them. I'm going to put a little chili powder, some cumin, and some paprika. I'm going to put those on them, and then I'm going to bake them at 450 for about 35 minutes. So while the potatoes are cooking and I am getting the tofu ready, I make a little bit of sauce that I'm going to pour over the tofu. So I do a half a teaspoon of garlic powder, chili powder, cumin, and then some turmeric. I mix it all up, and then I add a little bit of water so it looks like it's a sauce, and I set that aside. Okay, so in the pan here I've got a half a red pepper and then a quarter of a red onion, and I'm gonna saute them until they get soft. I have it on medium-high heat, and then if they do start to stick, I'll just add in some veggie broth. I never ever use oil when I cook. I use veggie broth if things start to stick. I always make my own veggie broth. I'll use some store-bought, and if I absolutely need to, I'll put a link below this video to show you how I make my own homemade veggie broth. But yeah, I'm going to saute these for about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to add 2 cups of kale. Okay, so I added in the kale. So there it is, 2 cups. I actually added like 3 cups of the kale. I just got that sauteed up with the red peppers and the onions. I actually did add just like a tablespoon of water just because I just wanted to kind of get some liquid in there. And then I have the tofu here. I used the fork to crumble it. I'm just adding it to the pot while I'm talking to you. I used a fork to crumble it up, and this tofu was actually really firm, and so it was kind of difficult to crumble up with a fork, and so I just ended up using my hands to crumble up the rest. But here it is in the pot. And so now I'm going to come and grab that sauce that we had already prepared, and I am going to dump it over the tofu. And there's like a little bit of goodness left in there, so I'm just going to add a little bit more water so I can get all of that onto the tofu, and that is going to give it like a really nice Southwest flavor. Alright, and here it is. We got the roasted potatoes. We got the kale. It was 3 cups of kale, and then a half a red pepper, a quarter of a red onion, and then we have the tofu. I only ended up using half of a block of tofu for the entire recipe, and then I topped it with some cilantro. And you can totally switch out ingredients for other ingredients. If you don't have kale, then use collard greens or Swiss chard or spinach, whatever you have in your fridge. If you don't have a red pepper, then use something else. Use carrots, use a zucchini. Just use whatever you have and use what you like. That's the important thing, is to make food that you like and that you enjoy. This is a healthy recipe. There's no sugar, there's no salt, there's no oil. So you shouldn't feel bad about eating this meal. And if you want to continue to see recipes like this, please make sure to subscribe to my channel.